Welcome back to Morning Line. Happy to have with us former First Lady of Tennessee and the founder of You Have the Power. We are talking with Andrea Conte about an event that's coming up tomorrow night. I kept saying Friday. I keep forgetting today's Thursday. So this is tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow night.
At Centennial Park to honor children who have died at the hands of violence over the past year. And really this is something that's been happening for many years prior to that. Happy to go to the phones now. Let's go to Joe. Hello, Joe.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Joe.
I just have a question for your guest. I just would like to know is what is, in her opinion, what is the root cause of the increase in child violence?
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for that call. That's something certainly the city has been talking about. You know, what do you think there?
From the standpoint of the Children's Memory Garden, you have to keep in mind that children's names have been remembered in that garden every year since it was dedicated, since 1996. So that's really my concern, that these children are not forgotten, that we remember them. In regard to youth violence, I know we're all hearing about so many tragic events that have gone on here, and they're just senseless. And I can't tell you, I don't know what that root cause is, but I think we need to ask the question, why, what's going on, and what can we do? And that really has to be a very thoughtful process, because first you have to know what is going on, why it's happening, and what that process is.
And take time and just remember. So often it's just one event, tragic event after another. What this does is you reflect on an entire year and you remember the actual individuals involved, and you believe that has power as well.
And looking at just the 23 children that we've profiled in Voices from the Garden, each one of those children had a different experience. So you can't really say it's one cause. There's so many things that happen in society, in our culture, just where we are in this whole process right now. So I can't pinpoint one thing. I think there's lots of things that we could look at where we might do something different, but we have to know what we're doing first.
Mm-hmm. So 23 children will be recognized this year. 23.
Yes.
Is that unusually large? You've been doing this, like you said, since the mid-90s. Is 23 the largest number? Has it been that number? How is that number compared to past years? Well,
when the Children's Memory Garden was dedicated, there were 35 children. But that included some years prior to 1996. This is 23 is a large number. Mm-hmm. Is a large number.
And I guess walk us through the process of how you would choose them. You know, how do these 23 come to be recognized in this way? What is the process?
Each one of these children died at the hands of another person. They died from violence. So that could be a range of things. But that is what one of the criteria. We also look at their association with Davidson County. Do they live in Davidson County, family in Davidson County? Did the event happen in Davidson County? Did the police in Davidson County investigate the case? Because some of these children, there's 2 of the children out of the 23 that didn't live here permanently. They just happened to be here when the event happened.
And are other communities doing something like this? How unusual is this? It sounds very special. It sounds unusual, but do we see this in other places, or what about that?
There are, excuse me, there are memorial gardens. I don't know that there's any quite like the one we've got. That was started the way it was, and it's been maintained the way it has been. But there are memorial gardens across the country. Mm-hmm. As we're looking at new design for the children's garden, the architect that is working on Centennial Park is very, very skilled and very knowledgeable about memorial gardens. So he's been a wonderful resource as we're looking at what the design of the children's garden should be.
And that's interesting too. You're talking about the future. So this has been going on since 1995, and you're now looking, I guess, to take this to another level, or a more permanent sort of thing, or what's your vision? Where do you see this in 10 years or 15 years?
It's not, excuse me, it's not necessarily taking it to another level, or, but I think it is in the sense of what we're looking at, because to me this is personal, and we need to make this personal, which is why we are trying to answer the question, who was this child? But I think that we will have to move on to the next question, which is what happened? And that has to, again, be a very methodical, carefully planned program of looking at researching what happened. And then when you get to that point, I think the next question is, okay, now what can we do? And not we, but what can I do? What can we do? What should we be doing differently than we were doing before?
Okay, all right, let's go back to the phones here. Let's go to Kathy. Hello, Kathy?
No, Vicky.
Vicky, okay, go right ahead, Vicky.
I want to ask you a question with two questions.
Okay. All right, go right ahead. It's okay, go right ahead.
I want to know how kids had to be, and what time it starts, and what time it ends.
Okay. How old?
The Children's Memory Garden is for children under 17 or younger. Because when you reach the age of 18 in this country, that's the age of majority. When you were considered, considered an adult. So it has to be a child 17 or younger, and it's not from an accident, unless it's something like a DUI. This is typically are going to be intentional acts.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, let's go now, I believe, to Kathy. Hello, Kathy.
Hey, Mr. Hall. How are you this morning?
Doing great.
Thank you for calling.
Is this Lucy? Well, Lucy, yes. Hello.
Hi, and I'm calling about Kathy from November of 1969. Miss Conte, I am a big fan of yours. Not so much your husband's, but I'm a big fan of yours. I know you've been a victim of violence. But when this happened with little Adriana, it brought another level of violence to children here in Nashville. We heard about stuff like this in L.A., but this is the first time it really hit us this way here. We missed the boat back in November of '69, and we really didn't concentrate on Kathy's particular case until March at Trimble, but those were two different neighborhoods, two different children. You're focusing on the stories of who these children were, and I deeply appreciate that. But I want to thank Vince Gill. Vince Gill wrote a song called Pretty Little Adriana, and to this day, this turning point here in Nashville with Adriana Dickerson getting killed, When he wrote that song, if people don't understand what this means, it hit us like, oh no, not here. So I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate your garden. I've been out there many times. Every time I go through Centennial Park, I try to look over that way. And if anybody goes to this garden, and if they have access to YouTube, cue up that song, because it will make you cry to understand what a precious little child this was, minding her own business, going into the market with her family and getting shot like that. Thank you for listening.
Lucy, thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Adrian Dickerson was one of those children, and that Kelby Smith was concerned about, that 6-year-old boy. So she was really instrumental in founding this garden. Also, Adrian's mother is a wonderful woman who's out there speaking out on these issues. She's been just a tremendous force.
Her death, her murder, really did impact this city. You're right. Vince Gill wrote a song. Vince Gill wrote a song,
A Pretty Little Adriana, and it did wake the city up in terms of what's going on with this violence against children. And Adrian Dickerson was one of those children in a wonderful family. She was out shopping with her mother, and was shot by a stranger.
Was shot by a stranger, yes. I remember that. It was terrible. All right, we're going to take a break. If you'd like to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Chance to talk with the former First Lady. Take a break. Be back right after this.